Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ and in this video we are going to be discussing a new release heading to Shudder. If you love horror films, if you love thriller, you know Shudder is the place to be. So I am excited to talk about the new film Quicksand. This movie falls into a small subgenre within the horror community, which is basically survival horror. You can think of things like Open Water, 127 Hours, the new film a couple years ago, Fall. I like this type of movie because it really depends on, one, a good situation. You always have to find something interesting to put your people into, but also it really depends on some solid acting. Thankfully, Quicksand has a pretty interesting gimmick, some good acting, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. At like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that, I was overjoyed to get in and get out of this movie. Every time I kept being like, oh, the scene's going on too long, it would end. Like, the movie knew me. I was just like, all right, can we start wrapping? Oh, it's wrapping that up. Cool. This was a well-paced movie. Again, it is just two people mostly bickering for a while. It's two insufferable characters bickering for a while. I think both actors did well, but both these characters can be a tough journey to get through. Yeah, I like what this is, though. It's quick, easy, in and out. It's not perfect. Again, bickering people, bickering can get annoying. It's a pretty thin movie. There's not a lot going on here. What's happening is very enthralling, but there's not a lot here. So those are the negatives. But overall, I was really happy to see strong acting, good directing. This is one of those movies I often say, I want to see more. Director Andres Beltran, I want to see more now. This was like almost a good sample of what he can do with a good budget, with some good actors. Now, what could you do with more? I like that. Quicksand does work on its own, but this to me is like a demo reel for everyone involved of saying, this was a smaller budget, a smaller production. What could we do with more? And hell, this whole team, from producers to writers, directors, actors, they could do a lot. This was a good premise, a good actor, like real, oh my goodness, Quicksand was better than it had any right to be. Quicksand follows married couple Sophia and Josh. Sophia played by Carolina Gaitàn and Josh played by Allan Hawco. And these are two people, they're married, sure, but they're on the brink of divorce. They are in a tough spot, so they decide to go to Colombia to hack together. Maybe that's going to make them a bit stronger, you know, a bonding moment, a vacation. They don't have a little one with them, so vacation's already instantly easy, but surprise, y'all run into quicksand. You remember that thing we all feared as a child that was going to just be outside in the middle of the playground and we fall into it and we could die? Quicksand? Yeah, that's the plot of this movie. It's quicksand, though they definitely add a little bit more science to it so it doesn't feel so a little kid imagination. It definitely feels how it would work. You know, they're stuck and then there's rain, so the water's rising, so you have that intensity. As soon as they get stuck, the movie really picks up. Beforehand, I was like, okay, can we get to the stuck? Can we get to them being in the quicksand? That's where this is really going to shine. And then once we get there, these two get into it. I hate both of these people, but I love both of these people. I understand their point of view. There's also a lot unsaid here. There is so much eye acting. There's so much moments where I'm like, these two people have had such a history, and that's good, strong acting. That's also a good bones of your script where you can read something and, you know, maybe there isn't a huge 45-page exposition about your backstory, but you're able to kind of get what you need from the material, and you can see both actors definitely did it. Allan Hawco, he's strong here. I really liked his character. Again, he annoyed the hell out of me. I mean, so did Miss Sophia. Carolina does very good as well. But again, these characters were so good, and I liked that they felt real. They're layered, they're problematic, they're troublesome people, but they're also real. And I thought that made this situation really interesting. So as all the elements are raining down on them, they're in the quicksand, animals start showing up like this giant ass snake, and you're like, how the hell are they going to get out of this? Again, I like this easy, simple setup, this easy, simple plot. It works. It allows your actors to be strong and allows you as a director to have some fun. There's some good cinematography. You know, for a lower budget film, there's some really good editing choices. Again, there's a lot of good choices made here. It may not be like the most 5-star movie I've seen all year, but we need good 3.5-star movies. And this is definitely one of those where I'm like, I would actually show this to more than one people. You know what? This needs to be viewed by a lot of people. Overall, what this movie does best is place you into this position. what would you do horror. I think that is an underrated genre in the horror field. It's like, what would you do in this situation? I go back to the open water movies. Those movies gave me panic attacks. I mean, like, again, James Franco's 127 Hours isn't directly a horror film, but what would you do? We have these kind of movies, and it starts a conversation while you're watching it. Like, me and my partner were like, okay, what would you do here? What's the scenario? What's doing that? And that's really interesting. I think this is an interesting, I want to say, a couple viewing. This isn't like a romantic comedy you and your significant other can watch, but also at the same time, watch it with them, see what their strategies are. It could really start it. Again, there's a lot of these movies, and honestly, if Andres Beltran wanted to just make a lot of these what would you do horrors, I would be into that series. If this was a little like Shudder movies every, an hour and 26 minutes Shudder movie of what would you do in this crazy wild situation. I mean, what was it? Frozen a couple years ago when they're on like that Frozen thing. I mean, about probably a decade ago now, where they're like on the little ski lift and they're frozen up there. Good ideas. Love these kind of things. Give me more of these. I think that's what really impressed me with Quicksand is I kept being like, I didn't think I would like this as much as I did, and then I did, and now I want more of these type of movies. Give me more like ASAP. Alright everyone, that is it for my review of Quicksand heading to Shudder this week. I would say definitely check it out. If you have Shudder, this is a good enough reason to watch something. But also, if you don't have Shudder, what's going on? If you've been following Flickering Myth for this long and you don't watch Shudder because we mostly talk about horror movies here. What are you doing? Get on it. Get on it now. I wish they were paying me to say this, but they're not. But for real, get on it. Shudder's great. Alright guys, that is it for my review. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth and give me a thumbs up. Alright everyone, let's talk about Quicksand right down here.